So Nick, you were just asking me like, how do I stand out? And again, my care framework, I teach leaders all the time. But if you're in sales and you are a leader, chances are you were a salesperson before you became a leader. So this framework works very well for salespeople as well. And you were just asking me, how do you stand out? Like, what's going to make you different? When's the last time you actually wrote a letter, right? AI can write letters all the time and look crafty as all get out. But the reality is it's not authentic. It's not making you stand out. So sit down and write a letter to your clients. Let them know exactly who you are, exactly the purpose for why you want to meet with them. Actually share some information about the client, like do your research, but then put together an authentically crafted letter and send it to them. Here's another idea. Overnight it so that you can track it, and then call them the next day after you've had a few hours to receive their mail and ask them, hey, did you get that letter that I sent? Because I had to write it 3 times over because I write like chicken scratch. And that in itself, the way that you're coming across, the way that you're just truly being who you are, that is authentic. That might actually land you the meeting. And they talk. You were just mentioning a cold call plan. A cold call plan is really not going to get you very far. How are you going to be able to stand out? Like when you're calling and you're saying, I'm so and so with whatever company. That just sounds so salesy, and that's not going to help you stand out. So just saying, hey, it's Jonathan, how you doing? That's going to get them to ask a question. And if you can get someone to ask you a question on a cold call, right, you're going to actually probably get them to give you the time of day and give you a meeting. So you do your research using AI. I just did a post the other day. AI can help you with crafted presentations, but AI cannot help you be crafty when you're in a presentation. That's got to be your EQ, your emotional intelligence, right? That's what's going to shine through the most. Another question that you guys asked earlier that I thought was really well was like, how once I'm in the meeting, how am I going to know I'm doing well? And so when was the last time any of you asked for feedback in a meeting while you're in front of a manager? So I don't see any hands going up. So that's the problem in itself. When you're sitting in front of a manager and you finally had that time to get in front of them, and you don't ask them at the end of your presentation, hey, what stood out? Like, what's going to raise an eyebrow? Then you've lost the ability to get that real candid feedback, and actually feedback that will be remembered, because managers want to use a company that is being observant of their time, respectful of their time, and then they want to know, like, man, this guy actually asked for feedback. And that is so critical with what you're doing. So when you're be curious to find out the feedback that you're looking for. I put this up on the board because I wanted all you guys to understand, like, if you can hit on all aspects of these attributes, then you're going to be falling into a 9 or a 10 where you're creating advocates and promoters. And if you get to a certain state, I just heard you say you had an account breaker because your client used to work someplace else and took you with them. Those partners, they take you with them where they go. And when you get to a 12, you've created a flow state, or as I like to call it, the it factor. You actually hit the it factor. When you don't hit on those, when you don't land on being authentic, if you don't show respect, and everybody's talking about respect, in today's world, it's so sad because in even the education industry, we started just teaching intro to finance, and no one's teaching intro to EQ. No one is teaching people, especially in today's generation, how to interview, how to interact with someone, how to be truly genuine. If you can't show respect, right, standing in a lobby before a meeting, right? If you're making sure you're taking notes, sitting at the edge of your seat while you're in a meeting, that shows eagerness, a sense of urgency, like you want to learn more about the client. And then if that client finally gives you a requirement, or finally gives you the business that you're looking for, you have to be consistent and you have to execute. If you can't land on those 2 attributes every single time you're working with your client, then it'll be a one-time work with your client. They won't come back to you. They won't find you reliable. So again, you put this all into a blender And what comes out is the it factor, that truly authentic self that clients are going to remember. And in today's world, again, AI can write a message. I've gotten them in the mail before where it says, "Gosh, you got to open this. Please do not bend." You open it up, and it looks like it's written by a real human. But if you really look at the letter, you realize it just wasn't. And that is so unauthentic. It's almost placating to our stupidity, to be completely honest with you. When's the last time you actually got a letter that was written by hand, by a human? That's the ones that are remembered, that are being completely authentic, right? And then again, adapting. Again, I talked about my foundation earlier. You guys were all curious about the foundation. To be consistent, to be adaptable, to be reliable, and to execute. That's the foundation for building solid relationships. So if you're a salesperson and you want to get promoted into a leadership type role, you have to be working on yourself all the time. So yeah, I'm teaching leaders. I'm also teaching salespeople. I'm teaching new employees when they come into a business, because you should always be working on yourself. Human improvement leads to relations that will last, leads to advocates and promoters that want to share your information with other companies, with other services. Like sometimes if you can hit on all of these, you don't even have to sell yourself. It's you leaving lasting memories is how you sell yourself. That's why everything is written with this CARE framework. CARE is on the side. If you care about self-improvement, right? Abby, you were asking about that earlier. If you care about self-improvement, then whether you're a leader or not, you are trying to follow a framework, some type of a framework. This framework's proven. It was 25 years of me asking for feedback from clients when they could have used someone else, but they didn't. They chose me. Why did they choose me? Well, because I was consistent. Or I turned out I was approachable. I didn't try to lead or sell with ego or title and worry about my wallet. I wanted to build a relationship. I was truly genuine about the purpose of why I was there. And they remembered that. Or they would say, you know what, you really adapted. We gave you a time frame, and then we had to kick the time frame down the road. And instead of you blowing up or freaking out, you just kind of rode the wave with us. That's adaptability, one of the foundational pieces. And then actually, there's clients that, again, you say you're going to deliver, and something happens with the situation, and now you have to be very reliable. And so I've had to do that before in my career. I've had to actually take the place of a consultant doing work because they didn't show up. I did the work, and that made me remembered. So this whole process is a framework of human improvement. Sure, I dive deep with leaders. I go deep into this. Consistency I can talk for consistency forever. The other piece of this too is that there's a lot of people out there that have one or two pieces of this framework that they can talk about for hours. I don't. I talk about this framework in 4-hour sessions, which leads to 6-month continued education or a 12-month continued education because there's 12 attributes. Imagine really deep diving on each one of these attributes, being consistent, showing compassion, knowing the different levels and layers of compassion, right? Being curious, right? Showing curiosity. It's not about asking questions, it's about building trust. And if you build trust, you build respect. And the more trust you build, the more approachable you become. Oh, well, then again, approachable and relatable, much the same. You can relate with anybody at any age. This is generationally transferable, right? It can help the newest of employee just coming out of school, and it can help the most senior of leader. So keep that in mind as you continue to grow yourself, grow your team, grow your territories, because this helps. Right? It's going to help you. It will not hurt you. And if you do it the right way, you'll be remembered and you'll be in a flow state. You'll hit your it factor and you'll build partnerships that last.